to be part 2 of the horrible ordeal my whole family, especially my mom, had to go through from June until the 6th of December. So I left off telling you that the doctors at UVM Medical Center, UVMMC, that they, nearly killed my mom. And I know you're gonna say, oh, well, don't be exaggerating. Oh, don't be so dramatic. But we literally had palliative care calling us. And when you have palliative care calling you, I can't really describe that feeling. I knew kind of in my heart what palliative care was, but I could not bring myself to like Google it just to make sure. But it's like end of life stuff. That's what they did to my mom. I mean, they didn't listen to us at all. Let's just say, I feel like they poisoned her a bunch of times. We begged them, please, the doctors, the different teams of doctors. I literally talked to doctors every single week, new ones, to say, don't give her opiates, don't give her morphine, and anytime you're going to give her anything, talk to us about it, please. And if you don't, at least just give her a tiny bit of it and see how she handles it. I think that doctors really suffer from something that's called action bias. Like, they'll give you something and then they don't wait. Like, they'll wait a day and be like, that's not enough of it. Double the dosage. And stuff like that can kill people like my mom. So last time I left off, I'm so sorry, I'm rambly. I'm very, very, very tired. Do you see the dark circles? Are they there? Oh, where was I? Oh yeah, okay. So the doctors, they wanted to take the shunt out after they had put it in, after the revision, after the infection, after they gave her medication that made it so she couldn't swallow, which they didn't figure out was related to the medication that they gave her. They thought, oh, she's just, for whatever reason, declining in health, and we're going to have to give her a feeding tube and like liquid diet. And we want to take the shunt out of her head. So I'm doing all this research and finding out that, people that have infections die in the hospitals for 2 reasons. One is because of like poor nutrition, and the other one is the care that they get afterwards. And my mom was the epitome of poor nutrition because she could not swallow. And the doctors were like, we really have to put her on a feeding tube. We really have to take that shunt out of her head. And I'm like, are you sure that the shunt is what's infected? Like, are you 100% sure? Because we don't want her to have to go through brain surgery again, especially don't want her to go through brain surgery when she's in such bad shape. And after prolonging it for 2 weeks, we gave in. We said, okay. Had numerous meetings with the doctors, and she was on a feeding tube, and they took it out. And after the surgery, we get a phone call, lets us know, hey, we had to do a transfusion for your mom. And I'm like, I don't like that, because most blood transfusions are from vaxxed people, and my mother's not vaxxed for obvious reasons, for sensitivities. So they give her a blood transfusion. We get a phone call. I don't know if it was probably the next day, and it might have been 2 days. And they're like, oh, your mom has COVID. I'm like, are you serious? So she just had brain surgery, and now she's got COVID? How did she get COVID? Maybe it was the transfusion that they gave her that they didn't ask us about, that they didn't tell us about until after it was done. Again, I'm talking about this action bias stuff. Okay, maybe they needed to do it to save her life, but she got COVID. My mom was already in like a really bad state. And I think at this point, this is when palliative care called us, and they were like, what do you want us to do? And we're like, take her off the feeding tube first and foremost. Get her off of that. Because I had done some research, and I saw that one of the side effects of the antibiotic medication that they switched her to was 1, rashes, and 2, inability to swallow. So we keep looking at her levels and everything. Palliative care is calling and saying, what do you want us to do? Because we don't know what to do. And we're like, do nothing. Well, I find out by looking at the charts that they gave my mom a dose of remdesivir, which if you look it up, remdesivir should not be the go-to for any hospital. It's literally written down there. I mean, I'm not expecting them to go the ivermectin route, but remdesivir is dangerous, especially for somebody like my mom, who I had checked to see what her kidney levels were, and they were not good. They were all of her levels, actually, ever since they wanted to do the feeding tube. Just every day was a new, and we had to figure out, what did they do this time? Because it's not like my mom could be her own advocate and be like, no, I don't want it, because she's on a feeding tube, and she was there for an infection. Before that, it was for TBI. So I'm trying not to get upset about this. I'm just trying to keep it all in my head, what happened, for my own records, for my own sanity. So we had a palliative care call. I said, don't do anything. They gave her remdesivir for the COVID. I freaked out. I told my dad, I was like, you can't okay this. This is bad. Like the American, I don't know if it's the American Kidney Association, but one of the associations for kidney research said, don't give people remdesivir if you have kidney issues. So why did they give it to her? Why? Why is this UVM's go-to when you have COVID? I was so angry. I talked to the doctor. Of course, couldn't get a hold of the doctor. I'm freaking out with my dad, and he's freaking out. We finally get a hold of a nurse who says they'll have the doctor call me. About 2 hours later, the doctor calls me, and I have to be as not based as possible, as liberal, as blue as possible, and be like, oh, of course, I'm not expecting you to give her ivermectin. That's just silly horse paste, but don't give her remdesivir. You can see in her charts that she's very sensitive to new medications. And the doctor was like, okay, I understand that, but that's going to take her longer to recover. And I'm just like, I'm not willing to take the risk that this could potentially hurt her further. So the doctor understood, thank God. And he said, all right, we won't give her any more. I was like, do not give her anything for the COVID except for over the counter, just cold medicine. Just don't do that. And I think maybe I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but maybe that kept her from them killing her again, or I'm sorry, not killing her again, but almost killing her again. Maybe I'm being over dramatic again. I just have been through so much and have seen so much. And I'm so sad for the people who don't have family to advocate for them, because I think they die because the doctor's action bias, the fact that they don't listen, and they just think that they're right all the time. So the fact that they think that they're right, they just dismiss you and what you have to say, even though you're trying to say it to save your loved one's life. So again, think of this as a warning. If you have a family member who is very sensitive to things, you have to be on the doctors all the time. And if you're somebody that doesn't have family advocating for you, I think these doctors will kill you. And I think because of places like UVMMC, UVM Medical Center, they have so much money, they don't care if they kill you, your family member. Why would they? I don't have the money to sue. We even talked to lawyers and be like, this is everything that happened to us. And they're like, can't take this case. And it's probably because they didn't kill my mom. Who knows? But I did find out that there are an awful lot of lawsuits that are in the queue for UVM, and they settle an awful lot because they don't want this type of publicity. They don't want this type of publicity. Can't even talk. They don't want this type of publicity getting out. So they settle. I don't know how many other hospitals are like this, but be aware. Be smart. Be vigilant. And if you don't have family, you're going to have to be your own advocate. My family is middle class. They're not low class enough to qualify for a long-term Medicaid. So everything my dad worked for his whole life is being used against him. He probably won't qualify for Medicaid. So whatever the insurance doesn't pay for, it's going to be us. It's going to be out of pocket. I'm not complaining because it's us. I'm just saying we're one of them. There's so many families that are going through this right now. But I got to go upstairs, guys. The OT guy is coming, and I need to be there because I'm the one that tries to make sure that she brushes her hair, washes her face. We put a little moisturizer on her face because she can get a little dry in the forehead. And yeah, I'm trying to get her to do this herself, but that's not going to happen right now. The COVID was like the last straw for me mentally. I was just like, we have to get her out of there ASAP. And it's funny, after we told them no remdesivir, get her off the feeding tube, guess what? Her level started going boop, 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 boop. Imagine that. If you don't do anything and just let her naturally recover, they get better. So anyway, I gotta go upstairs. I'll see you next time. God bless you and your family. And if I don't talk to you before this or leave a video, it's gonna be busy here for a while. So Merry Christmas in advance, and thank you for watching. I hope that you take what I say and put it towards use later on in your life, or even right now if you have a loved one in the hospital.